You've landed on planet 412. I'll be your captain of sorts as we navigate this strange, cryptid-filled world. Join me on the quest for truth, through the strange, mysterious, and supernatural. This is Planet 412. And welcome to Planet 412. I'm your host, Matt Emsch. We have a Monday version tonight. This is a live stream that I'm making up for Saturday. Let me fix my camera here. I think it's a little crooked. And I have a very awesome show, in my opinion, tonight. I have a good friend of mine. His name's Joe Breezy. A lot of you guys know him. We're going to bring him on here in 1 second. I just wanted to real quick jump into the chat and tell Catherine Gay, my wife Stacy. I know Bettina Moss is going to be in here helping with moderating tonight. Hello to Drew and everybody else, Karen Root and everybody else, Tane and everybody else that's here. We're not only on YouTube tonight, we're also on pill.net and on Rumble. So without further ado, we're going to bring my man Joe Breezy and his wife Jen. Hey guys, how you guys doing?
We're doing good, brother. Doing good.
Good. Thank you for being here, Jennifer. Good to see you, dear.
Hey.
Thank you for having us.
It was a year since I saw you guys in person, and you know, I talk about this a lot. You know, if it wasn't for going to that conference, I would not know anyone. I wouldn't have this show going, and you know, Joe and I have gotten extremely close over the last year, and he's got a great family, and you see one of them on the screen. So, Joe, if you want to introduce yourself and your wife, please. The mic is yours.
All right. Right on. So I'm Joe Breezy. This is my wife, Jennifer. Yeah, we met at the conference. Met Matt and a bunch of other people that, you know, I still kick it with to this day, and talk to on the regular. Some of y'all know me from the chat on PRT Roundtable. And I started my own thing because I was actually co-hosting with another channel, and then they shifted ways in the way they wanted to do their channel, and that was fine. So then I jumped on another one, but then I realized like I was spreading myself too thin, and so I just decided to do my own. That way I can work it at my own pace and you know, bring quality, not quantity, because, you know, we were doing it literally every day. So like you start running out of stuff to talk about, and especially like in the cryptid world, you come to the same conclusion on a lot of these things. You know what I mean? Whether you're talking about Squatches or Loch Ness or any of them, you know, at the very end of the show, it's almost the same. It's like, do they, you know, I believe they exist, but, you know, it still has that same follow-up to it, you know. So it started feeling redundant. And, you know, when your gut tells you something, you know, that's God talking to you. So, you know, I believe in following it, you know. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. I love the show. I watched you jump off from the get-go and ever since. So yeah. Thank you for having me once again.
Absolutely. You know, and just to let everybody know, like when Joe was doing what he had mentioned, he was doing another show with someone else. I jumped on there. Hey, Ristol, Reese, everybody smiling, Wolf, Enzaru, Scribbles, everybody, hello. I don't want to interrupt Joe anymore. You know, I jumped on there with him, you know, one night, and I had a really good time, but I agree with him. You know, when you do go every day, you got to really fight, you know, for content. And you know, I've been telling Joe, and I told you, Joe, you know, I said, brother, man, you gotta have your own show. Joe does a really excellent job. He's really tearing it up, and please, everybody, as you see at the bottom of the screen, we have the ticker running. Please go to Joe's channel, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. You won't be disappointed. Joe's doing a great job. He was in a band. He really did a great job. I have some of his CDs. You want to tell everybody the band and what you did for a little while, real quick?
Yeah, well, I did music for about 20 years in this little group called SHSM. We were pretty valid, man. We did a lot of really cool stuff. But as with anything, time takes hold, and people went their separate ways, and it was sad to see it go. But I couldn't be more thankful for all the memories that I had doing that. I mean, I literally got to live the life, and it crazy, but it was great. It was crazy, but it was great.
Yeah,
But
he did
yeah,
a great job.
yeah, but yeah, about the doing it every day. And it's not just the content, but like it's like you get off of work, you get home, you got like maybe an hour to chill with your old lady or your kids or whatever, and then boom, you're on the show, and you're on the show for 3-4 hours, so you never really get to see them go to bed. And you do that 7 days a week or 6 days a week, and you find yourself being detached from the people closest to you, and nothing gets done. Like chores don't get done around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do, but not for me.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really important. You got Jen sitting right there, your beautiful wife. You have I met your son. You have multiple kids and a great family. And I do sports radio. I call games. I got 2 seasons coming up, a semi-pro right after a high school season. I don't get to see my family often, man. So it's really
Right,
important that you spend time with them. But jumping into real quick so that we don't lose anybody here, I have a tendency to get too personal too much, and I keep rolling. And since you're my homie, I would go all night. But we're
right
here
on,
for a reason tonight, everybody. And jumping into what Planet 412 is about. We're about the supernatural, the paranormal, and all kinds of everything in between. Joe has had some really amazing experiences. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the mic over to him again. He had some crazy stuff happen. I mean, when he was young and growing up. And Joe, I'm going to let you take over, brother.
right on, right on. Yeah, I just to start off, I've never seen the Crypted until recently. I don't know if anybody follows me on Facebook. I think I saw a shapeshifter. Well, I know I saw a shapeshifter, but it was what music did you guys play? We did underground rap music, basically. Not to that. I was just answering the chat. But yeah, so recently I did see a shapeshifter, blew my mind. But as a kid, I was more prone to paranormal, like ghost and UFO activity. Like I've seen a ton of UFOs. I've seen crazy amounts. And I grew up, well, from like the end of second grade through the beginning of seventh grade. I grew up in a very haunted house, had a lot of experiences in there. I'm not going to get into all those. I'm going to get into one good story that actually happened very far away from where I live. And
That's okay. That's Joe's CD. Just to interrupt you real quick.
oh
That's
yeah, yeah,
Joe's
good, bro.
CD right there, one of them. All right, go ahead, Joseph. I apologize.
Uh, so all right, yeah. So this story starts with a picture. So I was at my grandma's house because I used to spend like every, like a weekend a month at my grandmother's. And this is after Halloween. And she shows me this picture that my aunt sent her. And it was of my little cousin, and he's in his Halloween costume. It's a Batman costume. And he's in the whole Batman thing. And there's a door behind him. And in the wood grain of this door, you see a gentleman, like a guy, you know, like straight up. And it's not like the effect where you can see faces, and it wasn't like that. You could see like his glasses. He had circle rimmed glasses. You could see the buttons on his shirt. You could see his watch chain. You could see like heavily detailed. Like it wasn't just a coincidence. You know what I mean? And so uh fast forward about that summer. So this had to be in what, the fall, and I want to say it was probably around 89, because that's when the Michael Keaton Batman movie came out. So, and that was the costume my little cousin was wearing. So right about 89, 90. And so that summer, my grandma asked if I wanted to go with her to my aunt's. And this is in Kansas City, right outside of Kansas City, Kansas. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, we'll go. And so we drive all the way there, and I'm there the first night, and I'm sleeping on the couch. And like I said, I lived in a haunted house, so like I knew the feeling. I knew whenever your neck hairs stand up for no reason, you know, you got that, you know that there's something in there with you, but it's not another person. And I was used to that feeling. So I mean, I was no stranger to it. Something walked up to me while I'm laying on the couch, and I knew instinctively, put the blanket covers over my head, and it walked up to me. You could hear the footsteps, you could feel the pressure on the floor, and it stood over me, and you could tell, you know, I could just feel like it was looking down at me. And I would say that it could have been like, you know, someone to come check in on me or something like that. But I stayed awake for a while, and it never left. So, you know, but you could feel that the energy in the room dissipate. So I'm like, man, you know, it's not here too. Like, finally got a weekend away, and I'm still having to deal with these things. So the next morning, we're all eating breakfast. My aunt's cooking breakfast, and my grandma and my grandpa and my cousins, of course. And um, we're chilling, and I'm like, yeah, I told him. I was like, yeah, yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, he lives in the house. He's, you know, actually watches over the kids. Like he's a good dude, you know. Like, and I'm like, okay, so I was like, what's up with the picture with the door? You know, she's like, oh, that's that door right there, you know. And it's the door that goes from the kitchen to the outside garage. And so she's like, yeah, if you give it time, you watch it, you'll start to see them. And she's like, and you'll start to see other people too. And I was like, all right. So I'm just like, all right, you know, how much of this BS am I, you know? But I know there's something there, and I've seen the picture, so I'm like, I know there's something to it, but it's really hard to fathom when someone is just telling you nonchalantly that, yeah, you're gonna see he's there, no, chilling. So I'm sitting there eating my eggs and bacon and stuff, and I look up, and boom, he's there. And I was like, he's there. And they like turn around, you know, they're at the breakfast table or dinner table or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, there he is. And then sure enough, like you start to see other faces like pop in the door. Like it was almost kind of like morphing and manifesting, you know, these images. And I was like, wow, man. And I was like, well, what do you think it is? You know, and she's like, oh, well, you know, get up, come with me. And we go out to the back porch, and on her property line, there's a fence running down the side of the property line. There's 3 tombstones in her yard, the fence running down the property line, and there's a graveyard on the other side of the fence. So she lives next door to a graveyard on this huge hill. And she's like, this hill. I'm like, what are those gravestones that are in your property? And she was like, well, she's like, I went to the public records when we first moved here and bought the house and everything, and nothing can be matched with it. But there was a big battle in the Civil War that took place on this that we own. Because I remember how many acres it was, but it was a good amount of it. And so she's like, yeah, there's this. And when I started thinking about that, I'm thinking, like that dude actually looked like almost like a Confederate soldier type of thing, like the way his uniform was, the way that the buttons were, and then the old school spectacles. You know what I mean? Like, I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, man. And we go back into the house, and it's still there. It's still right there on the door. Everyone's still eating and chilling. And she's like, you want to see something crazy? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, see how he doesn't have, because he was basically like cut off right mid shin. You don't see any feet. And he wasn't that tall. He's like 5 foot maybe. And she goes, see how his knees or his legs are, cut off right there at the shin. So yeah. And she opens up the door, and 2 steps down is the dirt, is the earth. So if he was actually standing on the earth, that would compensate for the missing part of his leg in the image, and it would put him at about 6 foot or so. So we stayed a couple more days. You could definitely feel the presence of this thing. And it was weird too. Like there was a few instances. So they had basements. We don't have basements in Texas. So to us, that was weird, or to me. And that was where it was like the hangout kind of living room. And one night, one of the kids, the baby, like almost the door was left open and almost rolled down the stairs. And you're talking like a whole flight of stairs. And for some reason, it just stopped. It like stared too. Like it didn't just keep going down. It was like dunk, dunk, and it just stayed. And it was like, she's like, see, I told you, he's watching over the kids and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this is wild, man. This is wild. Because every entity that I experienced before that was always negative, very dark, very negative. I didn't get that feeling around this one. I mean, of course, you get the feeling of supernatural, so it's creepy to begin with, but there wasn't like a sense of malevolence or anything like that. It was pretty serene. I mean, for instance, the first time I experienced the entity in my house, I was listening to the B93.3. It was an Austin radio station. And Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus came on. And I was listening to it, and it was time to go to bed and listen to like my little clock radio or whatever. And right when it gets to the guitar solo or the musical solo or whatever in it, the music dimmed, and not only on the radio, but all over, like all around me, encompassing, was this really deep, and it sounded like multiple voices, but it was very, very deep, like non-human deep. And it said, give up your faith in God. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I was like, what? Like, where'd y'all move me into? And like that whole neighborhood actually too had all my friends that lived in the neighborhood, we rode bikes with and everything, they all had haunted house. All the houses were haunted. you know. So it wasn't like, I think it was, I think that land that they built that neighborhood on was, was, yeah, something was going on with it.
Like maybe either that they had buried over a cemetery or a Indian burial mound, maybe some ley lines or
Yeah.
something like that going
Yep.
there.
Yep. And actually, all the roads and stuff were literally named Indian names.
Oh well,
Like,
I mean
yeah,
that's coming right there.
yeah. Like the road I lived on was Indian Head, and there's Comanche Trail. You know, there's so that's where I have no proof of it, but you know, that's what I think, that land inherited a very negative spirit.
Yeah,
You know,
you
not from
had.
the natives, but yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say you had things happen that not just from recently. You had mentioned you saw something that you brought up just a little bit ago that you think you saw do you
Shapeshifter.
think it was a skinwalker or just
I
some
don't
kind of
see. I don't know if that's why I say shapeshifter, because what up, Josh? Um, it
Mr.
was weird.
Turner?
So I live out in the country, right? And I was driving down the same road I drive to go to work, you know, almost every day. And I'm going down. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Going down the hill, and squirrels. You're out in the country. Squirrels are always zooming across the road right in front of you. You know, playing Red Rover basically. And I saw him in the ditch. You know, he was over in the ditch, and he comes running, and he hits right where the road starts, where the grass ends and the road begins. And you know how like squirrels, like they run, but they'll get into that, like they'll kick on the jets and they'll start hopping and doing like the long hops. You know, they'll quit running and they'll leap. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And so it did like one little leap, and then it did this really freaking long leap. Like it was, like I was like, that's not normal. And it landed almost past the yellow line. So in 2 bounds, it had went what, 8 feet. You know, I think that's the width of a car. You know, or a car lane. And when it hit on the other side of the yellow line, it bounced again, and it started turning blue, and it started like mold like melding or molding or whatever, and it turned into a freaking bird, glided, and flew off, and flew all across the little farm. There's like a little cow pasture over there, and it just flew all the way until it went past into the trees. And that was, and I watched the whole thing. You know, I just woke up. The only thing in my system was coffee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like I was like, man, I saw a squirrel turn into a bird, man. You know, it wasn't like that.
She called me at work. Is like, bit shapeshifter today. On
Yeah.
the way to work.
Did he call you immediately after that, Jen, when it happened?
When he got to work, it's like his check-in. He's like, on the way here, I saw.
Yeah. It was that, and that's my first experience
Wow.
seeing any kind of cryptid. I use the word cryptid loosely. I don't, inhumanoid. We'll put it that way. Shout out to Barton.
Great term.
You know, yeah,
How long did you say
because yeah,
from the time that squirrel did the jump and then you saw this change start to occur? About how long do you think that took?
seconds, like literally seconds, and I just turned on to the road, so I hadn't even gotten to top speed, which would be like 60, 65 miles an hour. So I was still in that, you know, 40, 45 mile an hour range. So where you can literally see pretty much everything. Like, cause I remember in squirrel form, it was brown, and it had a really, really bushy tail that had a white underlining of it. So like I, you know, I could spot it, you know what I mean? And like I said, that's like normal for out here. You see squirrels You know, and you're like, dude, don't do it, bro. And you literally talk to him. You know, you're like, don't jump, man. You're gonna get hit. But and coincidentally, for all the people from PRT, that exact spot, this is really weird too, and I'd never even put it together till just now. That exact spot is where I used to see the hyenas go across the road. And I didn't, back when I moved out into the country, I was a city kid. So when I first moved out here, like, I didn't know that that's not supposed to exist. I figured, oh, we're in the country, hyenas, you know. And then I'm like, you know, when I started going down the cryptid rabbit hole, they're like, hyenas don't belong in North America. And I'm like, what do you mean? I used to see those things all the time, a whole family of them. It'd be like a mom and pups, you know, walking across the road.
That's
So
insane.
yeah. So I didn't even know that was something that wasn't supposed to happen, you know. So it wasn't like I was like, you know, searching for a handout as far as people to hear my weird story about something. You know what I mean?
Where do you
It was
mind
pretty
just
crazy.
saying exactly where that this happened with these hyenas? I don't want to like out where, you know, like this is.
No, it's if you looked it up on a map. So in Cedar Creek, Texas, there is a road, Farm to Market Road, FM 535. It T-bones with another road called High Grove. So it would be, let's see, north, south, east, west, east. So it would be west, about a quarter mile west of High Grove Road in Cedar Creek, Texas, at 535 on 535.
How many times did you see these things?
I see them all the time. When I first moved out here, you'd see them literally. It depending on what time of day. Usually, it would be like I'd say mid to late afternoon. You know, because that's when. Because I remember seeing those most when you know, I was like I was like, yeah, about 16-ish, man. I had my freaking IROC Z28, and you know, you go, there's nothing to do out in the country, so you just go running around, zooming around. You know, we call it loafing. You know, you just jump in the car and go, and because there's nothing to do. But yeah, so you'd see them all the time going down. So like right where High Grove is on a hill. So if you're going down 535, cruising along, there's like a little double hump hill, and then you start coming back down and descending. And that's right where it is, right where the break of the bottom of the hill. They would be walking across there all the time, like never fail.
I mean, that's incredible to me. I remember I got a call. You know, I live in, you know, Joe, where I live in the Youngstown, Ohio area. And
Yeah.
I remember getting a call from my mom and dad one day. You know, they lived in a suburb of Youngstown called Austintown. And, you
Yeah,
know, this
cool.
is as suburb as you can get. My mom calls me, you won't believe what we just saw. We saw a freaking mountain lion running through the backyards. It was incredible. Cars stopped everywhere. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, Matt, your father's right here. He's like, Matt, it was a mountain lion was running through the streets. It looked confused. Now, not far from there is a metro park that I've talked about many times that I think possibly the dog man I saw when I was 14 could have followed the Mahoning River to go down to the steel mills in Youngstown called Mill Creek Park, which was only a couple miles from where they saw it. For an animal like that, a mile or two is minutes. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, you know, things like that jump up and just absolutely just, you know, it blew my mind. And then later that night, lo and behold, on the news, people talking about, you know, mountain lion running through the Austintown area. You know, I wanted to say something real quick, and I'm sorry to interrupt. You mentioned PRT. We got Josh Turner in here. PRT is
Wearing my PRT.
a sponsor of Planet 412 newly. Just want to let everybody Tuesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central, one podcast and YouTube On Thursday, Blondes and Booze, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central. Friday, 8:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Central. He will have a guest. I will be one of those guests this Friday. Saturday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, Alien Agenda, roundtable discussion. And finally, Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Central, he retells Encounters. So very proud to have as my first official sponsor, Paranormal Roundtable. Thank you, Josh Turner and the clan. So
That's
they're
awesome.
jumping in. Bettina is here. She said hi to both of us. I just want to let you know Joe B is moderating. We got a lot of cool friends in here, so thank you everybody for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing a bunch of friendly faces that I know. I didn't want to stop I didn't want to stop my role to say what's up to everybody, but hey, everybody, glad to see y'all in the house. Brings a lot of family love and good feeling to it. And I appreciate it, every bit of it.
Now, Joe, from the time you were, when did you say you were the first time, like as young as you were, the first experience you ever had was again?
That was in probably the beginning of summer of second grade. In that house, that's as far back as I can remember. I don't think I did see a shadow man when I was very, very young. And this is around like after that's how old I am. Like maybe after Empire Strikes Back came out. So I was a kid, but I remember being in my room, and we lived in project housings, and I think this was in Washington D.C. maybe, and yeah, I woke up out of a dead sleep, and there's a shadow man standing in the corner, and I freaked the F out. I went screaming, crying, and then my parents came in the room and tried to convince me that it was just like my stuffed animals, that were in the corner. But this thing was tall, it wasn't it wasn't a little pile of stuffed animals, I'll tell you that. But by the time that they got there, it was gone. I do remember that incident, but the ones that I had at the other house on Indian Head, they were very very, very dark. Like they would you'd be doing dishes, right? And we had a big window right in front of us when you're at the sink. So if you're at the sink and you're doing dishes, have this window. It was like a side slide window, so it was pretty good size. I'd say maybe 4x4 or something like that. And there would be a guy standing behind you in the reflection. You turn around, he's not there. We had a long hallway that went to my bedroom, and it would chase you down the hallway. It would literally chase you. You could feel it coming. You never really saw like a physical form or anything, but you knew it was right on your back. Yeah, and you would, me and my two little brothers, man, we would haul butt down that hallway like it was nobody's business, day or night. The very back room where I stayed at was like converted. It was like a garage, and then you could tell. Then there was like a laundry room, but you could tell like that little back room was converted to be like a little office space or something, because it had. Remember back in the 80s when you had like the fluorescent lights, and you had like that flat film that went underneath it. It was like I don't know how to describe it, like an office light, like you see in offices, like at the doctor's office or whatever. And one day I was sitting at Nintendo, just jamming away on some Nintendo, and I hear boom. I look up, and there's a shadow handprint on top of the light, behind that film. And I remember years later, when Skin Soul was a big thing, I was in like 5th, 6th grade. Me and my homeboy, we hid up in the attic to wait for the parents to leave to go to work so we could come out and hang out and have control of the house. And I remember being up there and going, oh yeah, I want to see where those lights are, because I was a kid, I didn't understand how lighting ducts and stuff like that works. So I figured, you could still see those lights in the attic. And I went over above my bedroom, and there's no way. All it was cords going into a hole into the light fixture, but it's flush on the ceiling. So as a kid, you think that the lights must be, I guess, up in the attic somewhere, but it's not like that. But yeah, so I was like, dude, and then it dawned on me. I was like, there's no way like someone could have tripped and went, oh, and put their hand down, like if my pops was up in the attic messing around or something like that. You realize that was impossible for that to happen. A lot of things that you get sheets jerked off of you in the middle of the night, like just straight ripped off of you. Closet doors would open and close on their own. I had one set of closet doors that were the kind where you pull it and they bend in, accordion style. Yeah, thanks, baby. Those things would be completely flush shut. And you have to push, you have to pull or push. If you're inside of it, you'd have to push, or if you're outside, you'd have to pull.
Right.
They would open completely on their own. So it wasn't like a door with a loose hinge, or a loose latch to where it would just kind of pop open. And no, it took some kind of physical force to actually open those things. Talk through the radio was common.
What would you hear?
Well, like that first time I heard to give up my faith in God.
Really?
Yeah, and then you'd hear like just random words, like you'd just be listening to. Oh, that was another thing, because back then, remember how we used to make mixtapes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You'd record it right off the radio. I would hear it on while I'm recording like my mixtape, and then be like, I got it, I finally proof, and then I could rewind that same spot, or go back to that song, and you wouldn't hear anything at all. You just hear the regular song. So it kind of made you think, is this just my imagination? But it wasn't just me. My brothers both experienced this on their own, individually, at their own times. I had a waterbed at one point. Things would come and sit down on the waterbed, in the corner of the waterbed, and you'd fill the hole, and you'd be like, look over, get your little brother messing with you or something like that. But nah, it is nothing was in the room with you. It's pretty crazy.
Jennifer, did that really happen? Did you hear your name said?
Over a baby monitor. And I said, what?
Oh,
and the boys are like, nothing. What are you talking about? Like, somebody just said my name. No.
Yeah.
I heard it clear. Jennifer.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. It's okay.
That's actually making a good point. My experience was early June. Joe's was early June, and Roy Stubblefield's was the summer. Might be a pattern. Joe, you had a number of patterns of experiences in warm weather, summertime as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe something not everybody thinks about, but it's little things like that, man. We were talking about it the other night. I was talking about with Josh Turner, and Josh was talking about his show last night. People might not notice this over here, this one specific detail here, But when you start pulling them all together, and which is why this community of Bigfoot over here, Dogman over here, alien, everybody needs to start coming together, because all of these
Right.
different details are connected. I mean, even something little like that could mean something.
Right. Yeah. All, it's straight Scooby Doo, man. Like, yeah, all the little clues fit together. And yeah, and absolutely.
Opening, there's a portal, I guess it's called, or there's what's another word for
a veil?
I believe in frequencies
in these areas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you do have your summer, winter solstices, and your spring and fall equinoxes, and these are times when frequencies change on the earth, and
influence as well.
If it's just like if frequencies, you got hearing and visual spectrum. There's a certain point where vision kicks in, and then ultraviolet kicks in. But if you're at the base of each, high on one end and low on the other, it's easy to cross over, so all it takes is just that frequency to just hit just right, and boom, there's no more differentiation between the two.
I agree. One of the things that I have discussed, and hello, Nelly, how you doing? Is everything on the planet has a frequency. Living things, rocks, trees, water, and sometimes, and I spoke about this with numerous people over the years, especially since my experience when I was 14. I spoke about it with a priest. One of the things that came up is like what we just mentioned, the veil, that invisible kind of sheen in front of all of our eyes. Well, right now, and I always say this, I'm not trying to freak anybody out. I'm not trying to scare people, but there are things around all of us right now that we can't see. The priest that I spoke to, that I went to see when I had a problem with the Dogman experience I had, told me, first of all, he believed it. Second of all, he said, Matthew, people need to understand sometimes things, and this is quote, things bleed into our realm or our dimension from other places. Sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. And sometimes when we do, it brings us together. And sometimes things happen like what happened to me. Or that you have, the positive kind of experience. Someone sees a Bigfoot, or Ernie Davio's Bigfoot experience, or you had a positive and some negative experience occur. I wanted to actually stick with, the Shadow Man experience. I heard Jen say that this thing had chased you down the hallway. You could hear it behind you. Could you elaborate a little bit more? Did you ever feel it touch you?
Well, that wasn't the Shadow Man. That was just this. It was just this entity. It was just this dark thing. I don't know, but
it's definitely trying to scare you.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of it is they're fear feeders. You know what I mean? They feed off the energy of it. But I did in this house that I'm actually in right now. Okay, so yeah, I had one of the most terrifying. Yeah, that's what they say, but I don't buy it. There was only one time. There was only one time where, and it was because I was dating a certain person who had a very negative energy to her, but this, yeah, and when she left, it left. So what Jen's getting at is on the same property. My mom and pops live on the same property. But it's like a totally different, they live like basically on the corner of the street. It's same property but far away. But my little brother, he passed away in the mid 90s, and he was a child. I think he was maybe 8 years old, and they see him, and my daughters and my sons growing up. Well, one of my sons, this one hasn't seen him, but they see him all the time, like in my mom's house. and he walks around in all white, and he has a white veil over his face, and they'll hear children playing, or like a child playing or talking or something like that. I've never personally experienced it, because when my brother did pass away, I made a specific communication to him that I don't want any part of it. Like, I'll see you when I see you. I'm not trying to see like you walking in my room at night or anything like that.
Visit me.
Yeah, don't come visit me. I'm good. But when I was with this one chick, go ahead.
Before we move on, Joe, so the first time you did see him, I mean, you knew right away it was your brother, correct?
I've never seen him. My
Oh,
mom
you
and my
didn't.
sisters, or my brothers, my mom, my brothers, my pops, my daughters, they've all seen him. I've seen when I had my second oldest daughter. I was getting out of the car one time with her, taking her to my mom's house to be babysat, and she looks up and she's like, "Who's that?" You know, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "That, who's that right there?" And I'm like, "There's nobody." All right. Hand you off to grandma. You know? That's it. I'm good. I'm out.
Mhm. Well, then you
But
touch on there with, children being able to see,
right.
much like animals all the time, children, their minds are starting to mold and to,
Mhm.
mature. They're able to see things that adults kind of lose that ability. Some people
Right.
have more ability as they get older and it sticks with them. It's familial, they talk a lot of. It sure sounds like in your family that it's definitely very strong going through your family DNA, if you will, that everybody has abilities to notice supernatural types of events.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That we've always been, especially my grandfather. Like, man, I could take up a whole show just talking about stuff that he saw. You know, but yeah, it is with my mom's spot. It's not it's not a dark thing. It's mostly they think that it's him. I don't know. I don't subscribe to it completely, because I think that these things, especially when you're talking demonic, that it can manipulate, you know what I mean? So it could pretend that it's, one thing and it's really another. That's same reason you don't mess with Ouija boards and stuff like that, because
Oh yeah,
you don't know who you're talking to. It can portray itself any
You
way it
open a
wants to,
door.
and
absolutely.
my mom used to always tell me, on a religious tip, that the devil doesn't come at you, with the horns and the tail and the whole scary part, because if he does, he scares you away instantly. He
Mhm.
comes at you as somebody who's friendly, and then you grow up and you understand that that's how pretty much all of your enemies come at you. You know what I mean? They all
Mhm.
come at you as, "Hey man, I'll be your best friend," blah 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 blah, and they stab you in the back. So you're not even talking spiritual entities. You're still talking regular, human characteristics.
That's a
So
great point.
yeah. So how much better can a spirit, that knows beyond human characteristics, manipulate that situation than an actual human? You know what I mean? Uh, without knowing the secrets of the other side. You know.
Hey Joe, you know what? Before we keep moving on this,
Yeah.
Danita Whit has a question here for you. Do any of your family have them follow them home? Did it spread, so to speak, like with any family members throughout your family?
Not that I'm aware of. No, the only things that I know, that thing that was at the house when I was a kid, I know that stayed where it was. It didn't follow. Um, I don't think so, because trying to think. Yeah, and the only real thing that's next door is, like I said, is my little brother, I guess, if that's what it really is.
Well, around the corner when we lived in Mad's studio.
Oh yeah,
house
that
was
was
big.
that. Yeah,
Big.
me and Jen lived at a. I forgot all about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Mhm.
Airport.
Yeah, that place. Me and Jen when we.
Hotels we've been in.
Yeah,
Strange
hotels. Yeah,
Well, you
that
got
one
to
in
let
Texarkana.
us know now. You can't leave us hanging. I mean, Jen even grabbed
Yeah,
her arm. So.
yeah.
Okay, so we lived.
Go ahead. Yeah, take it.
We
babe.
first started dating. I don't know. We were trying to find a place to live when our friend let us stay. It was like the garage converted into a room. She was using a music studio. It didn't have a bathroom, so we pee off the back porch. I'm outside peeing off the porch, and the grass back there had to be like, I don't know, hip high. So if you're gonna walk through it, it's gonna leave a part. I don't know if you ever walk through tall grass, but you leave a little trail in between. And in between the redone room garage and the house, there was this walkway, like just, I don't know, maybe this
Like
wide
a
apart, just a
breezeway,
little
yeah.
walkway in between the buildings, which he attached later on. But anyways, I'm peeing off the back porch, pants around my ankles, and I'm hearing footsteps, not like four-legged. So I jump up, halfway pull my pants up through the door. There's somebody outside. They're outside, and I hear on the back steps. And he goes flying out there. There's nobody there. There's no parts in the grass. There's nothing in the yard. Nothing is moved. So that was the beginning of the night. Later in the night, we got to go to bed, and we're in this room. I had a pool table and had like his papers from jotting down notes in his desk, and it was a couch. And we had a twin bed pushed up against the couch where we slept. And anyway, we heard it I guess through into the pool table area, rustling around the papers on the pool table. You can hear there's no fan on, blowing right on us. There's nothing over there. The papers are rustling around. And then you could feel it coming up around the couch to like our feet where the twin bed was. And we could just feel it just standing there watching us, hovering over us. And he's like, just don't feed it any, don't give it any. It'll go away. And we're just like, just go to sleep. Go to sleep. Just go to sleep. But inside his house, his cabinets would be opening. Things would be dropping. The house was thick with a lot of activity.
Yeah, he actually had, because he had cameras in his house and in like his room.
I haven't peed outside in a while.
And well, yeah.
I'm just saying because of that. I don't care about peeing outside. I'm just saying that was.
But yeah, he actually had cameras in his room. One time, I remember all my oldest son and his two sons were in the bedroom together.
They're all the same age.
Yeah, they're about the same ages. And they were little kids at the time. And all of them like simultaneously like look up into the corner and freak out and run out the room. And we're like, we're just chilling, drinking some beers, and we're like, what the hell are you kids doing? But they're like, there's something in the room. We go in there, we're like, I think maybe there's like a snake or a lizard. We live out the country, so it's not beyond the realm of possibilities to find a creepy in there. But yeah, nothing. And when we review the footage, he's like, "I'll go look at the rewind and go look at the DVR or whatever," and nothing there. But you can see them all look right into the corner and freak out and run out the room like simultaneously. They're just all playing, and so yeah, that place is pretty. And that place is like what, 4 houses?
Literally around the corner.
Yeah.
So we lived right up the street, like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
Residential blocks.
Yeah.
Well, again, you're getting into that area. There is something.
This area.
There, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that shadow thing that I saw was so freaking creepy, dude. It makes me shake just freaking talk about it. My hands are literally. So I'm sleeping one night and I get awakened by something sitting on the edge of my bed. Like you feel the whole mattress and everything. And I'm like, look, there's in there, I'm like, man, because I know to it and I'm used to it, but it's never been my house first, So I'm like, don't let it start, man. Like, don't let this be happening.
When you start talking about our camera,
Yeah, that is pretty cool. But so the mattress decompresses, and I'm like, all right, just go back to sleep, go back to sleep. So I start to doze back off, and this is where I always been, a skeptic as far as when alien abductions happen or ghost things happen. It's always when someone's sleeping. So it goes, oh well.
Oh, we lost Joe there for a second, everybody. As you noticed, he was having a little trouble. I'm gonna message him real quick. I think his internet might have been acting a little funny. So I'm sure Joe will jump back in. I agree with you there, Sugi. There have definitely been tons of reports of poltergeist types of activity with UFOs, which actually makes you think of in those situations. Like they're talking about a lot right now. Are these beings from other, parts of the universe or our solar system? Are they really from farther out? Are they utilizing these crafts to get back in here to this part of the universe, or are they actually coming from other dimensions? Now, if they're coming from other dimensions, then you're touching on a whole new area. You're touching on, maybe demonic. Joe just let us know that he's working on it, and I believe he's popping back in. Hopefully, he will pop up here in a second, everybody.
Then
As I was saying, and hopefully there they are. All right, they're back. Yeah, you guys are having a little bit of a problem with your internet, just to let you know. I hope they froze on me. There you go. You guys are unfreezing again.
Because he's talking about his shadow.
We talk about it, man.
Hey, I'm telling you, you're touching on something that's very normal. Things interrupt. You talk about dogmen, you have a lot of interruptions. You talk about other types of things interrupting. Here, you guys are in an area super heavily paranormal. Again, you got some ley lines running under your places, under your streets. You got some Indian burial grounds. You're talking about it, and now you guys are having problems with it.
Right. Or my kids going hard on 14 kilometer. One or the other. I can hear them yelling in the other, don't kill me, bro. But so yeah, so after that thing sat on the corner, so I started dozing back off, and I wake up, and it's kind of hard to describe. I tried to describe it a few times. I'm completely paralyzed. This thing is okay. So imagine if you were, so my window, I had blinds, and so the window on my side. Imagine if you were like a person doing whatever it is where you put your legs over the bar and you do your upside down sit-ups. You know what I mean? Like you're bringing yourself upward instead of, but the knees were backwards, so it was face down against my window, and it would swing up, and it was a completely black and black figure, you know, and it would swing up, and whenever it got to the top and it was right above me, you know, basically like, you know, it would. This sounds goofy, man. It doesn't, and don't make fun of me for it, but it'd go, you know, like, yeah, that kind of stuff. And dude, and I couldn't move. I was screaming so loud inside my head that I couldn't move. I was just like, get me out of this, get me out of this. Jesus Christ, please get this thing. You know, it was so freaking, but it could extend all the way to the ceiling. And you know, you got like a 2-foot gap between, you know, the top of your windowsill and your ceiling. But yeah, but it would like level with it, and it would stretch out. And I'm just like praying, you know, praying over, you know, God, please, you know, Jesus, you know, get this thing away from me. And eventually, after like, I think I started, if I remember correctly, I think I started to be able to move my left hand, and I touched my girlfriend that I was with at the time. I touched her, and like all my senses came back. You know, I jumped up, you know, and I could move. And I looked at the window, nothing was there. But she would say, you know, she would say a bunch of that stuff too. She'd be like, yeah, there's something was walking around my house, you know, at night, blah, blah, blah. But when she left, it went with her. So I guess as far as attachments go, that's the closest experience I've had to an attachment, because it didn't stick around my house. It went when she went.
That's
So
very telling, actually.
yeah. No, that was one of the. I didn't realize it at the time, but now that after we separated, I began to realize what type of person she was. That was probably one of the best ways for that to happen. You know, I just did not need to be around somebody who's like, afterwards she like started calling herself a goddess and like a bunch of weird ish like that, you know.
Very weird.
And yeah, and so I was like, man, I think I dodged a bullet. At the time I didn't know it, but you know, yeah, I think it was meant to be that way for that purpose.
For sure.
You know?
Well, obviously you ended up with the right girl, so it's
Right.
definitely not a negative thing. You know, you Andrew Christie from Sasquatch's Paranormal podcast also talked about, you know, he has those issues when he's sleeping, you know, that he's unable to move, and he has had like that old lady kind of being come and you know, come at you. You've heard a lot of people
The old hag.
Yeah, the hag. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, this is different though. So I mean, did the girl you were with hear that noise that you heard?
No, she was complete. Yeah, no, she was completely. And yeah, I couldn't move, so she didn't. You know, I guess that was what, with sleep paralysis or night terrors, or whatever they want to call it. But no, I was fully conscious. Yeah, I know that I've had lucid dreaming, you know what I mean? Lucid dreams, and I've been in that and been able to direct myself in my dreams, but it was nothing like that. It was the most real, you know, it's just like touching yourself. You know it's there. You know, you're completely aware of your surroundings, and there was nothing off about it. You know, like usually when you're dreaming, like your house, but it's not really your house, or you know, like yeah, something's not there that should be there.
It was you, but it wasn't.
Yeah. It wasn't nothing like that. It was dead on. It was dead on. Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because, you know, I've just recently started to discuss extremely real dreamscape, if you want to call it, or lucid dream that I had maybe about 6, 7 months ago, somewhere in between that. You know, I had never seen the Dogman creature again since I was 14 until about 6, 7 months ago when I had the most ultra realistic dream that I've
I
ever had
remember
in my
you.
life.
Yeah.
I told you about it, and it's funny because you just reminded me of it. You know, you guys brought up a good point, and Jen said it too. You know, you have dreams, you think in your dream, well, I'm at home, but it's not your house. You know, it's like in your dream, you think it's your house. You're like, oh, it's my house, but it's not your house. This
Right.
was my house.
But it might be.
Right. I was attacked in my backyard, right outside to my left. You see here, there's a curtain that I keep closed now. It's a big, huge bay window that looks out at the woods. I keep it closed now. I was attacked out by the fence line of the woods, and my pant leg was ripped off, and my prosthetic was thrown. I remember seeing something grab it and pull it off, and throw it into the woods, and next thing I know, this thing crawls up on top of me. The amber eyes, it was that thing I saw 100% when I was 14. And I'll let anybody hear again that hasn't heard this. This thing crawled up so close to me. You know, when someone's close to you, maybe somebody that you know that you care about, and you guys are close, and you almost touch. You can kind of almost feel even without touching that kind
Right.
of a feeling. It was right here and it was looking at me. Saliva even dripped in my mouth. I tasted it. I saw in color. I smelled. I smelled almost like a horse kind of cow smell. This thing did mind speak to me, almost like a synthesized, very deep, growly kind of voice. And it came up right up to my face, put its eyes almost to mine, and said, I came for you all those years ago. You speak of me too often, and I will see you again soon, or something along the lines of, you will see me soon, or I will see you
Right.
soon. And then I woke up, and man, it's just incredible, you know, having those types of dreams. And it wasn't a dream, you know, it was something.
Right.
Yeah. So you know, when you guys said that, that immediately grabbed me. It makes you think about, you know, those types of things, and it's always strange when you think about, you know, how you think again, you know, that you're at home, and you know, Jen said, even made a comment there. Maybe you are at home, you know, maybe that is your real home. Then you're jumping into a
Well,
situation of, go ahead, Jen.
some people say theories maybe that when you're asleep, you're actually going to your other life and like your parallel or a parallel. So maybe you're not dreaming that it's a continuous life that you are popping in and out of. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I agree with you.
Or it's
I agree.
just everything you've been dealing with for like a month or so, kind of like giving you bits and pieces and making a dream. Or
That's why I have no dreams about
it's a
Angelina
premonition.
Jolie.
Or maybe it's a
I knew it.
premonition of
I
some
knew it.
sort. Who knows?
Very good point. And
We
then
do
it
need to
brings
talk dreams. Dreams are wild.
I agree. We'll have to bring you guys back on another one and jump into dreams. It also
I'm not a
brings you
big
into
dream
maybe the
lover.
mindset of, and I agree, Rye, we do. You know, it brings you in the mindset of some people saying, are we in, you know, are we really all here, or are we really asleep,
Right.
or are we
Right.
in a false reality? Is this really going
Yeah.
on, or who knows? You know,
Matrix or what? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right?
No, it's funny that you say that, because when I was a kid, I got put in a mental institution for a couple years, and I got so good at analyzing dreams that when we would do group therapy sessions that they would literally take about 30 minutes and let me analyze dreams of the other kids around. And because it would, like, they would have like certain dreams of disastrous things. Like me, for one, for perfect instance, tornadoes. Anytime my life got very unsettling, or where I felt like my life was out of control with whatever it was, I would have these tornado dreams. And because it's one of the most chaotic things that there is, it's chaos and you have no control over it. Mm-hmm. So if you find yourself, in life, feeling that you're losing control of what's going on, or financially, or, or substance abuse wise, or anything like that, mm-hmm. then, those would kick into my life, and I'd understand it, and I'd go, yeah, that's what it is. Like I'm feeling, like I'm going down a path that I have no control over, and that's why I keep getting these recurring dreams about the same stuff. A lot of them were like, I used to call it, I miss my puppy syndrome, because when certain kids would show up new to the ward or whatever, to the institution, after about 6 weeks, they'd be cool for about 4 to 6 weeks, and then they'd start having dreams like they lost their dog, and then they'd go, yeah, I had this weird dream that I lost my puppy, I lost my dog, or and what it was is because you lost your feeling of sense of home. Mm-hmm. You finally been there so long that you're no longer spending the night. You're locked up, and you're not going home until they let you go home. So I used to, help kids with that, I'd be like, no, this is what you're really going through, mentally, emotionally. You're having abandonment issues, basically, and you felt like your pet abandoned you, when it's really your actual outside world abandoning you.
I'm gonna go get the little one.
Yeah, Jen's gonna put Jaden to bed, but we're still gonna rock and roll, man.
He's gonna pop in and say goodnight.
Oh, he's gonna pop in and say goodnight. Awesome.
He has to come say goodnight. I have to pull him away from gaming.
Oh yeah, that kid's. He just recently discovered online gaming, and he's hooked. He's totally hooked.
Yeah, he's a good kid. That's the one that I met, right?
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's number 5 of 5. So I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids, believe it or not. With this young, beautiful face of mine.
Hey man, hey, you've done a great job. And real quick, I want to show everybody, since we're waiting, I'm wearing a T-shirt, one of 2 that Joseph has sent me. If anybody knows horror movies, but Joe is a horror movie aficionado, professional.
Yeah.
Do you remember Chainsaw Massacre? Hey, there he is. I remember that big boy right there. Get him on.
Hey, Matt. Hi.
Buddy, how are you? Good to see you again. I haven't seen you since Texas. Mm-hmm. You have grown, my friend.
I know I have.
I know.
Cool.
Good.
Good, yeah. And so I found out that you recently discovered online gaming. So what were you playing before? What were you just playing?
I was playing Fortnite.
Oh, well, of course. Yes, very popular. Definitely. It's good to see you, man. We might have to get him on some shoulder pads soon, Joe.
You're right. No kidding. Linebacker of the year.
Lineman, yeah. Very good. Just to let everybody know, I met him at the conference. One of the many. Bye, buddy. One of the many great human beings that I met at the conference last year, and I'm going to tell you guys what, I'm not just saying this to cater to my man Joe here and Jen. They are doing an amazing job with him. He is an absolute phenomenal human being. I'm going to tell you what, it might not seem there because, he's on camera. He might have been a little nervous. He was just playing video games. An old soul, man, very mature for his
Yeah,
age.
he is.
Him and I, we were going back and forth for a while, and Danita just asked if he's the youngest.
Yeah, he is the youngest.
You
My
want to let
oldest
everybody know?
is almost 30 now. She's like 27. I want to say somewhere around there. My second oldest is like 25. My last oldest daughter is 22. Has to be 22. Yeah, because she's born in 01. So yeah, and then my oldest son, he's going on 18 and already trying to be like his dad and already building his rap sheet. And I'm like, dude, I didn't get busted. That's the difference between us.
Well, hopefully you get him straightened out, man.
Well, he's at that point where and that's why me and him kind of had to part ways a little bit, because he's a man now, and
Oh yeah,
he's gonna do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. And
the baby is a
I'm
man.
like, yeah, and I'm like, dude, all right, go venture out, figure it out, because when it comes down to the world will put you into your place if you don't act
Absolutely.
right, yeah.
Hey, good night, Jack Spring. We have one of our many extended family members from across the pond from England. So good night, man. He said it's
Good
2:16
night.
a.m. in London. Good night. Thanks for being here, Jack. We appreciate you, man. So
Thank
Joe,
you. Yes, sir.
jumping on, is there any other experiences that maybe you didn't mention?
Off the top of my nugget, I can't think of any, but I do have a really cool about 5 minute, because I was doing a show on this eclipse that's coming up.
Yeah, yeah. A
And
lot of stuff made a big deal. Never heard the government make such a big deal about what's going on. So please take
exactly.
it, brother. Yeah, go.
Yeah, so it's pretty weird. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, nah, it's a bunch of BS. But when I actually looked into it, it was pretty freaking crazy. So when this eclipse actually starts heading from Eagle Pass, Texas, all the way up through your neck of the woods, which is Ohio,
Mhm.
it lines up with the sign of Jonah, right, and the prophecy of Jonah. So in I think it's Matthew 12, it talks about Jesus is talking to the Pharisees about. And they're like, "Will there be a sign?" He's like, "No, nah, it's going to be a wicked and a lawless time. The people are going to be wicked. They're going to turn away from God. They're not going to get a sign except for the sign of Jonah." Right. So in the book of Jonah, God tells him to go to Nineveh, right? To go tell them to repent and because they're being wicked and lawless, right? So he tells him, go to Nineveh and tell them to repent. He doesn't want to, so I'm saying, so he tries to avoid it. He goes the other way. He goes to a dock front where you board a vessel to Joppa, right? So he goes to Joppa. He gets on a boat and he tries to go the opposite way. I think it was Manishish or something like that where he was going. Anyway, push come to shove, he ends up getting caught in the belly of the whale, right? And God spits him out in Nineveh, and he goes through Nineveh, and the prophecy is fulfilled, right? Or not the prophecy, but the God's work is fulfilled. Now, if you look at the solar lining from Eagle, Texas, all the way to Ohio, one of the very first cities that it hits is called Jonah. The very next city that it hits is called Joppa, which is where Jonah went from Joppa. And before it gets to Nineveh, Texas, right? Because there's from Texas to Arkansas to all the way up through Ohio. It even hits a place called Little Egypt, which you have to go through to get to Nineveh. He actually gets into the belly of the whale. When that solar eclipse is above us, if you go right to the constellation that it's at, it's called Stikva or something like that. Don't quote me on it's a Greek word. But the constellation is in Pisces, and it is called the whale. And it is in the star that is right directly in the middle of the whale. So he's in the belly of the whale before he gets to Little Egypt and Nineveh. So it's pretty tripped out, like how that system, literally works. And I was like, I didn't think nothing of it, like I said, in the beginning, but when I started looking into it, I was like, man, that's pretty tripped out. It literally tells you the whole story of the travels.
It is. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Anthony? Right? Anthony from PRT. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for stopping by, brother.
Up, bro? Good to see you, man.
The PRT people. Yeah, Anthony is a great dude, man. Nelly was here.
Oh,
Josh
yeah.
was here. Anthony, one of the best dudes I know on the planet, man. Right on your level there, Joseph. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell a story real quick. I might embarrass Anthony here for a second, but just to tell you the kind of people that the Turners are and how cool Anthony is. I was at the conference again. I always bring this up, man. I wouldn't have the channel. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know all these other people without going to that conference. Anthony, we were going out. I think it was Sunday night. It was the last night. I had like a bag. I had like a box. I bought some stuff. And dude, he would not let me carry anything out. He grabbed, he's like, I'm like, oh man, I'm cool, man. I'll carry the car. He's like, no, I got it. Dude would not let me carry anything to the car, brought it there for me. Again, man, just a small story. Just shows you the kind of people that they are. My friend Ernie Davio, hello, Ernie is in there. Sasquatchers is in there. Drew, Eclipse Truth, Rye from Codegas. Tomorrow night, everybody, just to remind you, another live stream here on Planet 412. We do our Supernatural Town Hall session. It has me, Planet 412, Rye Voss from Codega's Codex of Curiosities. We have Andrew and JC from Sasquatchers Paranormal Podcast. So make sure you shoot up tomorrow night and check out the live stream. It's a cool one. It's about the HARP directed energy weapon.
Ooh, and Joe, that's a good one.
Drop a little one, about how, for some strange reason, you see some of these areas that it's really obvious something has occurred, but yet one house sits in the middle of it with a blue roof. Something about the blue. Yeah. And if you check out the thumbnail we made, just made a little hint to that, kind of a cool thing. So
the DEWs, direct energy weapons.
Yeah, man, a lot going on. There's still little tease with that. I want to show again. People asked about Joe's band. This is one of the CDs that he sent me. SHSM Regicide. It's not even in there right now because it's in my Xbox because I jam out. I got the big TV in the back, man. I have the Xbox. I'll turn it on. I listen to Joe's music. It's killing. Karen Root brought something up. We'll jump on right here. Hold on, I missed it. What about the Devil's Comet? I'm not familiar. Do you know what that is, Joseph?
Nah, man, nah.
Ah,
I mean, if you triggered something in my nugget, I might.
Karen, if you want
Like
to,
the
if you want,
skateboard thing.
you want to
That's
let us know.
actually. Go ahead.
I was going to say,
I was
Karen, if you
commenting
want
on
to elaborate. Go ahead, Joe.
the Sasquatchers. I like the skateboard. That's actually an all metal skateboard, and I formed it after the Gleaming the Cube video or movie whenever it came out. How at the
Joe.
very end he had the all metal skateboard. Love that.
You know, Joe, I sense you're commenting on, and he is there, Josh. He's a good dude. You all are. Look behind Joe there. He has all these pictures on the wall. Would you comment? Let everybody know real quick what you got behind you.
Yeah, so this is like just not even all of them, but this is so every year. So okay, let me backtrack. So the gas station shirt that Matt is wearing. So
Irie.
Jen works in as the pit master at the gas station. What that is it was the original filming of the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's a cool place to visit. It's a landmark as far as horror movie people are concerned.
Love
They have barbecue, they have cabins you can rent out, you can stay there, you can chill. It's entire horror merchandise inside and out. It's just a really cool spot. We befriended the owners, the Roses, when it first opened up, and subsequently she ended up working there. I ended up working at their other place here in Texas, which is a head shop. And so, but yeah, so they also throw a annual convention called the Cult Classics Convention, and it's all about cult classic movies. So, like this year, we had all the dudes from Porky's. We had the original mom from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the chick from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So every year we do these big conventions where we have all these horror actors and actresses come in, and what you see in behind me is not even one whole weekend's worth of autographs and pictures and stuff from these people. So like I'll literally go there like on a Saturday night. On a Saturday night, if you get the VIP, everyone goes from the convention. They go to the hotel that everyone stays at, and we rent out the whole second floor lobby, and we all just party down. So like I got autographed pictures of me and like Michael Berryman. For those of y'all don't know who that is, he's the big bald-headed weird dude from the original Hills Have Eyes. Like sitting there drinking and chilling and you know, having a blast. You know?
Awesome.
So yeah, so whenever they show up, like this year, I got a dude. Remember Eddie and the Cruisers and
Yeah.
Streets of Fire? Yeah, that dude was there this time. So I got like pictures with the dude from Eddie and the Cruisers. You know, it's awesome.
And I've seen a lot of those. Those are, I mean, just an amazing collection that you have. And it took you a while to get those set up as well.
Yeah, it did. It really did. My legs went numb sitting on the floor framing all those pieces, and this is just one wall. I got my entire bedroom. My whole house basically looks like this. So my house looks like it's ran by a 15-year-old. Posters and
Thank you,
pictures.
Anthony, by the way. Thank you. Hey, man, don't rip on that. I'm a big kid. Look behind me, man. You see what's behind me. So
Exactly.
I got a Thor hammer. You guys can't see it. I'll have to bring it into it. So thank you again, Anthony and Paranormal Roundtable. That was very generous of you. I appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
You know, you talked about Jen being the barbecue master, and I've been talking about that because barbecue is probably my favorite food. So when I come down for the conference, we
Oh,
got to hit.
dude.
And
Yeah,
Anthony was
we're
just saying that he wants to go there. We'll have to get a group of us together, man. Go get some Q.
oh yeah, dude. Absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not gonna front, and I'm not just saying it because, you know, see the dude that used to be the pit master, he was good, man. I'm not gonna no qualms about it. I'm not gonna front. But Jen's like highly OCD, so
Mm-hmm.
everything has to be the same every time, and consistency is what brings you to, you can go to KFC, on a Wednesday, and it's not as good as it is on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? But like with her stuff, she made it consistent like that. So anytime you actually go down there, you're gonna have the same barbecue you have on Sunday as you would have on Friday. It's just
Well,
not.
we are
It's not.
going to the gas station. I love it.
Oh,
You ever heard?
it's gonna be a blast.
Josh Turner just mentioned Thorndale Meat. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, it rings a bell, but I can't say I know. I wouldn't. I'd be fronting if I said I know.
Well,
But
I
I've
know Josh
heard
knows good
Thorndale.
food. So, well, I have
It's
it.
ringing.
There is no question. When I go down back to Texas in November, I know where I'm going for some Q. Is the gas station. So the Turner family needs to come. Trey Felton. Okay. Again,
Oh yeah.
since PRT is here and Anthony just sent a very generous donation. I'm going to say one more time. I'm extremely proud to announce my first actual
Oh,
sponsor. Real quick, I just want to say again, Paranormal Roundtable is my sponsor on Planet 412, and yes, me owner is here, and I will bring it in the picture another day. On Paranormal Roundtable, everybody, on Tuesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Central, one podcast and YouTube. On Thursday, Josh will be on Blondes and Booze, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central. On Friday, 8:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Central, there will be a guest. I will be one of those guests. Rye might come in as well. And then Saturday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, the Alien Agenda Roundtable discussion started last week, I believe. And then Sunday night, last night, honestly, I'm going to be honest, one of the best, if not the best, paranormal roundtable I've ever seen on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Central. They retell encounters. They talked about this vampire and this guy that was in a coven type werewolf kind of under the center of the earth kind of group, and then another gentleman who owned a ranch that had dogmen coming up through the ground through little holes and spider type creatures. Dude, man, it was absolutely incredible, man. Good night, Anthony, and everybody. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Joseph, we're going to break before we go. Is there anything you want to let everybody know what you are up to and what's coming on your channel?
Well, yeah. My channel's kind of random. I do anything from stories to cryptid stuff. I do like I recently did one on Gen X. So like I'm all over the spectrum. I don't have a specific format that I follow. But definitely hit the notifications because I don't have a set schedule. Sometimes I'm actually going on this dude Tim Zayer's channel. I'll join in with him. Those are just kind of like chill sessions mostly, but we do talk about current events and modern things happening and the weirdness about it. It's not nothing that's normal per se. It's like the things that make you go, you know, and for
Well,
any
we
Gen
love
X,
it
you
here.
know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, we
But
love it here.
yeah. But yeah, so definitely hit the notifications because I never know exactly what I'm going on. But I'm gonna try to get more how would you say it? More of a schedule going. Like I want to do like maybe like, you know, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, something like that. But I haven't really
Mhm.
got it figured out. And I don't have many videos on there. There are some past videos you can find on Tim Zoller's channel. I did a bunch on like angelology and demonology and um, man, I think we even did like the H.H. Holmes. And then there's another one called Strange Days. That's the one that you were on the first time. Um,
Right.
you know, I'm no longer on those concurrently, but you know, you might see me pop in. But the old ones, they're actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more loose on my channel. I'm not going to front to anybody who's subbing or anything. You know, obviously you can see I drink, I smoke, and on my channel I cuss. So but it's not to the point where it's excessive, but it is what it is. I wouldn't recommend. It's basically PG-13. Yeah,
Hey,
I'd
nothing wrong with it.
recommend.
You
Yeah.
can flaunt the
I
booze. They drink it. You know, they drink, they chill. We're all adults here. I don't think anybody has any problem
right.
with it. I want to say this real quick. People are checking out. I wanted to thank every single one of you guys that have come tonight. I appreciate you. We want to thank you for supporting Joe. And like you see at the bottom of the screen, definitely head over to Joe's channel, hit subscribe, like, and like he had just talked about that notification bell. He's doing a great job, everybody. Please, I would consider a personal favor if every single one of you would go over and hit that subscribe button. Please hit it. Joe's doing a great job. He's got great things coming up in the future. And it was a pleasure also seeing your beautiful wife, Jen. I can't wait to see her when I come down there in November. Jen, we were just talking about the barbecue that you do there. So I'm going to be coming down and for the conference, and I'm going to be hitting that barbecue. So we know it's on point. We were saying goodbye to Joe and saying goodbye to everybody. Want to thank you as
Yeah.
well for hopping in. This won't be the last time, you guys. This will be one of many. So again, thank you. Just to let
Absolutely.
everybody
And
know. Go ahead,
yeah,
brother.
and Matt or if anybody if y'all my show's pretty much open if y'all want to come on, hang out, chill, you know, I have no qualms about it. My personal exit is thank you all for tuning in. God bless each and every one of you. Keep searching for the truth because the truth is out there, regardless of how we're conditioned to understand what the truth is. The real truth is really out there, and God bless each and every one of you, and all your may all your hopes and dreams come to fruition. You know,
I love it.
that's basically
Wait,
what I love.
thank you, brother. It's been a pleasure. Jen, you want to say anything before we check out here?
No. Yeah, no.
Well, it was a pleasure seeing the both of you. Do me a favor, hang out in the green room for a second. I'm just gonna
I,
say goodnight to everybody. I'll be in there in a second. Again, everybody, thank you to Joe. I will be definitely coming over to your show. See you in a second, Joseph, Jennifer. Everybody, I just want to thank you again for coming on over. I know this was kind of like an impromptu live stream. I can't tell you, I took a break Saturday. I talked to Drew and Ryan, and I was like, and Josh, and I was like, I'm going to take a break. My body needs. I felt so horribly guilty. I have to be honest. So I had to do this. And Joe is a great guy, man. He's a great friend of mine. Um, Again, tomorrow night here on Planet 412, Supernatural Town Hall session. Planet 412, Codex of Curiosities with Rye Voss. You got Andrew and JC, the Sasquatchers Podcast, Paranormal Podcast. So please check us out. We're going to be talking about HARP, directed energy weapons, and those blue roofs, man. Something crazy about it. Saturday, I'm going to do another live stream. It's going to be fun. I have new content coming out this week as well. Going to be all jumping on really fast. Thank you, Masochist Mouse, and everybody else, Danita. Thank you to our mods, Catherine Gay, Bettina Moss, my wife, Stacy, Brett, Nellie Turner. Thank you for being here, sweetheart. For Anthony and Josh Turner and everybody else. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. Good night. Love you guys very much. We will see you again soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it greatly helps out the channel. I'll see you next time on Planet 412.